Once upon a time, in a cozy little village, there lived a poor miller who had 3 sons. When the miller passed away, he left each son a little something. The eldest got the mill, the middle one received a donkey, and the youngest, well, he got a clever little cat. The youngest son was quite disappointed at first because what could a cat possibly do to help him? But this was no ordinary cat. This cat had fancy boots and a twinkle in his eyes. He looked up at the youngest son and said, "Don't worry. Just give me a chance, and I'll make you rich and famous." So, the son, feeling a little skeptical but curious, agreed to let the cat take the lead. The cat immediately put on his shiny boots, which made him look quite dapper, and off he went into the world. He caught a nice rabbit and took it to the king, saying, "Your Majesty, these are gifts from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." The king was intrigued. He hadn't heard of this Marquis before, but he liked the sound of it. Kings love gifts. So he was delighted and rewarded the cat handsomely. The clever cat continued bringing gifts, like birds and other tasty treats, and each time, he made sure to mention this mysterious Marquis of Carabas. The cat's hustle was paying off, and soon the king was quite fond of the elusive Marquis. Now, one sunny day, the cat had a brilliant idea. He learned that the king would be riding by a beautiful river and planned to introduce his master in classic fashion. So he instructed the youngest son to jump into the river while the king was passing by. Nervously, the young man did as the cat said. The cat waited until the royal carriage arrived, then shouted, "Help! Help! My master, the Marquis of Carabas, is drowning." The king, hearing the commotion, immediately looked out of his window and saw the young man flailing in the water. He ordered his guards to rescue him. They fished the young man out of the river, and as he stood there dripping wet, the cat ran over, breathless with excitement. "Your Majesty, I found him nearly drowned. How unfortunate. You must help him." The king, glad that the young man was safe, thought him quite charming. "Young man, you must come with us in my carriage," he said. Still dripping wet but feeling quite important, the youngest son climbed in. The cat, with a twinkle in his eye, scampered alongside them proudly. "I will be sure to keep my master looking presentable," he vowed. When they arrived at the castle, the cat hastily ran into the kitchen and ordered a feast fit for a king. He pulled off a grand show, serving delicacies that dazzled everyone. But the cat wasn't done yet. He had to take it up a notch. While everyone was eating and laughing, the cat dashed off to the great castle of an ogre who was rumored to be the wealthiest in the land. This ogre was known to transform into any animal he pleased. He could even be a lion. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be? The clever cat didn't flinch, though, because he had a nifty plan. He knocked on the door of the ogre's castle. The ogre, intrigued by the sound of someone small, opened the door. "What do you want, little cat?" he sneered. With all the bravery he could muster, Puss in Boots said, "I've heard you can turn into any animal. Is it true?" The ogre, excited to show off his talents, transformed into a roaring lion, sending shivers down the cat's spine. "Well done. But surely, you can't be bigger than that giant. Can I see you as a massive elephant?" The ogre grinned, and poof. He became a great elephant, but the cat was clever and quickly thought up an idea. "Wow! How talented you are. But I'm afraid no one would believe how impressive you are without proof. Could you show me just one more trick? Turn into a mouse, for an honest little cat like me?" The ogre, intrigued and wanting to impress, turned into a mouse, and in a flash, the cat pounced. He gobbled up the poor mouse, and just like that, the ogre was no more. With his mission accomplished, Puss in Boots raced back to the castle, where the king was still feasting with the youngest son. He regaled them with the story of how he vanquished the ogre, spinning a tale of bravery, wit, and cunning. The king, impressed by the true story of his newfound friends and especially by the cat's cleverness, decided to reward them handsomely. Soon, the king proclaimed that the youngest son would inherit all the wealth of the ogre's castle and be the true Marquis of Carabas. The young man was delighted, and as he looked down at the delighted cat, he realized that it was all thanks to his clever companion. From that day on, they became the best of friends as they lived in the magnificent castle, shared many grand adventures, and ruled wisely, always remembering how a little cat in shiny boots could change everything. And they all lived happily ever after, filled with laughter, friendship, and delicious feasts. The end. Isn't that a whisker-twitching tale of adventure?